Well, so many organizations have been involved in this movement, including the NAACP, that really has been on the front lines of civil rights for African Americans for more than 100 years. I spoke with its senior vice president, Jamal Watkins, asking the question, how has this movement changed their work? Has the passing of George Floyd and the social movement that followed, in your estimation, has it really changed anything?
It has literally changed, I believe, how the nation sees itself. So imagine, for example, a family who's stuck at home, safe at home because of COVID. They're watching on the news cycle and on television channels over and over again, this man pleading for his life and then dying. That's something you can't take out of the psyche of American culture. It's sort of burned into our minds as something that has happened. And so that reality and those conditions, I hope never get replicated. But because that happened, you have a generation of young people and even older folks who have said, wait a minute, there's something going wrong. There's something amiss if this is what we're experiencing. And so when you saw folks in the streets and in communities protesting and lifting up the issues, it really does signal that there's a sea change. The question becomes, though, when we go back to normal, when we get out of the pandemic and folks are back to spring breaking it and going to beaches and resorts, do you forget about the racial injustice and the cultural struggles that we experienced 4 years plus and last year at a heightened level? And so we're hopeful that folks won't forget.
Has it changed your work at all?
You know, what George Floyd and what it represents, meaning a crescendo moment in our country, it shifted our organization to be even more metrically driven around policing and reimagining public safety. So, for example, our partners in the ecosystem, we launched a police accountability project in February around mapping, where we're simply just mapping policing budgets, because you realize that there are solutions at a local level that address crime that aren't always about the use of force. So how do we actually lift up what the budgets look like connected to solutions that make sense? We also have seen the narrative shift where it's not a black and white issue. You think about the Latinx and the Latino community and the over-policing around immigration, that's still a fight forward. You think about the education community where teachers are being laid off, but you're hiring more police in schools. Doesn't make sense. So the energy around the work has really ballooned to sort of look at an all-inclusive frame that says not demonize police and police officers, but if public safety is our goal, how do we do the smart policy work and do the shift so that we actually get better public policy and public safety